So we all see the quick practices to the right. Okay, so I'm not going to have you raise your hands, but just put your hands on your chest. How many of us are doing the quick practices? How many of it faithfully, like every single day? How many of us are doing them like sometimes, every now and then? And how many of us are like, quick practices, that's a new word for me. Okay, so and I just want to know for me like how much information I need to give you and how quickly I need to move on. Okay, so where are you guys all at? Okay, so awesome. So most of us have an idea of them. These are the first two core structures. Quick practice and student leaders go together. Okay, so our student leaders are going to lead this. You can see your quick practices that are listed here. It's always going to be listed on this page. A student leader only has to know the questions, first of all. A student leader doesn't have to know the answers. So that's why all students should and can be the student leader. All the other students knew their role. They were highly engaged. Okay, so I'm going to give you some tips for this. Quick practices are going to happen every single day for 5 minutes, kindergarten through 5th grade, every single grade. Okay, every grade for 5 minutes. If I were to leave, go back into the classroom, and have to teach a different curriculum, I would steal the quick practices and bring them with me. I think they're that important. Okay, so the quick practices are designed to build fluency. So quick practices, I have a student leader come up and set the timer. So whoever my student leader is, they come up, I have a timer up on my whiteboard. If I have a smart board in my classroom, I data set the smart board timer. And I actually think it's my student leader's favorite part of the job, is setting the timer. And so they set the timer because I've gone into too many classrooms where the quick practice turns into 30 minutes. Okay, so it's not a mini lesson, it is fast, 5 minutes every single day. In the primary grades, your quick practice lasts forever, like the entire unit forever. Okay, so you don't have to if you don't get it all done today, who cares? You'll do it again tomorrow. All right, so they do change, but they don't change often enough for you to panic that you didn't get it all in today. Okay, 5 minutes, you move on. It is intended to include repetition for right now. For the unit you're in right now, there are skills that your kids need constant repetition in, and that's why you're doing it. There's not enough repetition in your centers, in your classroom. They need the repetition in quick practice. So it's all the time. So you heard him say, 30 dragons in a line. And the class says, with one less, there's 29. 40 dragons in a line. With one less, there's 39. It's just counting back one. All right, so it's sing-songy. They're also intended to build prerequisite skills for skills that are coming up. Okay, so here's what I mean by that. I'm sorry that I'm not there yet. He's a poor guy who's going to videotape me and I ran over on time. So something like this. Okay, so they do this, 20 and 5 is, everyone? 25. Okay, 20 and 6 is 26. Well, if you don't do this in kindergarten and first grade teaches Unit 8, which is double-digit addition. It's going to be really hard for them because the reason that they're so good at double-digit addition is because they've been doing tens and ones for 2 years. So it's a prerequisite skill, and it's often that something that happens in a quick practice is a prerequisite skill for something in the next unit. So if in the next unit you're like, man, this is so hard, they didn't really even prep them for this, they just threw it at them. Well, no, we really actually didn't throw it at them. They were doing it in quick practice for an entire unit prior to this. Okay, so the quick practices are super, super important. They're student-led. Okay, so I put by October, but I walk into classrooms on a weekly basis to do model lessons. I've never met these children in my entire life, and I have a student leader the very first day. Okay, and now I have a special gift. I always call on the kid that the teacher in the back of the room is like, I have no idea, just that kid, a behavior problem, the kid that doesn't speak English, whatever it is, I choose that child, but I call them up and it always works out. Okay, so I know that they can take it on, and so I'm not going to abandon them. So I'm going to be their coach. So who wants to be our student leader? And someone raises their hand oh, come on up, you're going to be our student leader today. And I said, boys and girls, here's what's going to happen. John's going to say, boys and girls, read the equation with me. Okay, and he's going to point to it, and you're going to say, 30 plus 2 equals, and then John's going to put his hand on his head, and he's going to say, think about it. And then John, when he puts his hand up, he's going to say, class, and you're all going to say, 32, or whatever the answer is. You are not going to talk until John puts his hand up, or whatever the nonverbal is. Okay, so keep it in your cheeks until he puts his hand up. Are you ready to start? And that's as much introduction as I give. Okay, and now I only talk to John. I only ever talk to John. Okay, so now John's up here, and I say, hey, John, you ready? He said, John, maybe we'll John, say class count with me. He says, class, count with me. And he doesn't say it loud enough. And I say, John, no one can hear you, say it louder. He says, class, count with me. Right? That feels so much better than me being in the back of the room and saying, honey, no one can hear you, talk louder. Right? So I'm just so I call myself the angel in the wings. I just squat down right next to him and I'm just feeding him everything he needs to say and do. He's standing like right in the way of the poster, right? No one can see it. And I say, John, honey, no one can see it, get out of the way. And I make him step out of the way and I have him try it again. Right? So I just do, and the 5 minutes goes up, I'm like, oh, good job, everyone point to John. Ooh, math genius, he's awesome, sit down, we're done. Okay, he'll try again tomorrow, right? So I'm gonna give him everything he needs to know, and I'm gonna feed him his lines, right? I'm gonna tell him everything, and then eventually he doesn't need my help anymore. Okay, so I'm gonna teach him to manage the quick practice and the behavior. So I was just in a first grade classroom in Laguna Beach, and the first grade teacher had, I know, a terrible place to be, right? And an index card on the wall, and then on the wall it had the direction, it was the sentence stems that the student leader was supposed to say. And the students just had it there as a just in case, so that if I forgot what I was supposed to say, he just went to the wall real quick, he had that reminder, and then he went and said whatever was on the wall. So he had a backup plan for the kids that can read, as you move forward. They need to manage the quick practice and the behavior. Okay, so an example of this is I am working I'm going to use my puzzle penguin as my pointer. I'm working in a second grade classroom and I'm coaching this teacher. So I'm in the back of the classroom and I have this little girl who has red hair. Her name is Sabrina, gorgeous little girl. And she's a student leader and she's leading these routines. And so she has all of her friends on the carpet. She's sitting right here, and she says, boys and girls, count with me. And so all the boys and girls are counting with her, right? Well, I see from the back of the room that she has two little friends that are not counting with her. Instead, they have erasers, and they're picking apart the erasers into the tiniest little pieces that they possibly can, right? Anyone?
Yeah.
Okay. And so I don't say anything. I just wait to see what's gonna, like, is the teacher gonna step in? Like, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna ignore it? Who knows? Well, I notice now that she notices them. And so I kid you not, Sabrina puts down her pointer, she folds her hands, she says, I'll wait. And she does like the teacher stare, and I was like, that is good. Like, she's totally, and so all the kids like elbowing them, like, she's waiting, like, do it. And they stop playing with their erasers, and she picks up her pointer, and she says, we can continue now. And she goes through, and she stops 2 more times, right? And so afterwards I debriefed with the teacher, I'm like, that was so awesome, I loved every minute. Because her teacher didn't rescue her. Because the moment her teacher rescued her, was like, boys and girls, this is not how we act during quick practice. Crisscross applesauce, blah, 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 blah. Okay, Sabrina, go ahead. Now she's just told the entire class, it doesn't really matter that there's a student leader, you only ever have to respect me. Right? So I want to coach, and so you all can hear what I'm saying. Sabrina, you're not ready. Tell them to wait. I'll wait. They're still coming. Keep waiting. I'm just encouraging her, and I'm coaching her. And eventually, because you all can hear me, right? But I'm giving her the ground until she wins that authority, and now she understands how to be the student leader. You're going to keep a quick practice until you reach mastery. So if today you're doing a quick practice and 100% of your students are not mastered, not all students are saying the words at the same time, kids are still delayed because they're not sure what the answer is, you're going to keep it. Even if tomorrow it introduces a new quick practice, you're going to keep the old one and do the new one. Most quick practices are almost like 2 minutes in length, really, maybe even less. So you can do like up to 5 quick practices in a 5-minute period generally. So keep the old ones if they're not fluent and do the new ones. Okay, keep them going. And then of course, many are cool responses. The one you saw where the boys and girls were walking up and they're putting the numbers up on the board and he says, how do you make 59? That is the exception rather than the rule. It generally is all choral responses. It is not morning work. It's not post the problems on the board. Everyone's doing them in their journal. It is all choral responses. Everyone doing them together, highly engaged, waiting for hands up signals, so on and so forth. From you, how many of you are doing them successfully and have any other tips? Things you do?
I have a question for
Yeah.
you. You're saying 5 minutes for the quick practice.
Correct.
Does that include, what about the daily routine?
That's next. That's going to be 10 minutes.
Okay, so
Yes.
you do I do it the opposite. I do daily practice first.
It's okay. The order doesn't
and then
matter.
quick practice.
Yeah, that order doesn't matter.
All right, so
I just am going to order on the page. Most people do daily routines first
okay.
in their day.
And the daily routines are about 10, and
Yes.
then you do a 5-minute quick practice, and then you're
Correct.
on to your lesson.
Yep, you got it. Anyone else finding success with the quick practices, things you do? that are successful? You want to share?
I do what you were saying, where you're up with the kids, I'm kind of sitting in the chair, so they're doing the leading, but if they get lost, you kind of whisper to them
You just, yeah, great,
what to
excellent. What to do, what to
say, and I find that, different kids, some can get up and just do it, and others still, even after a whole year of doing it, still are unsure of what to do.
But imagine, they're doing this in kindergarten. Imagine how powerful it is when they're in 5th grade. I mean, those kids are owning the classroom. Like the 5th grade classrooms I go in that are faithfully doing this in every grade, those kids run the show for every, the teacher, I don't know why she's really getting paid. That was a joke. If I have to tell you it's a joke, then it's not funny. Really, she's like, who wants to run homework? And someone runs a homework routine. And who wants, it's just constant. The kids are just very empowered, right? It's really cool. Yes?
How do you propose doing quick practices or any of these student-led activities in a pull-out math class when you have one student?
So one student, you're going to treat it kind of like a guided, like a sight word.
Okay.
Like a choral response, like, you put them on index card and it's kind of just like a flashcard type of system. You would do it like that. Now, if it's a pull out, my suggestion is those kids are never pulled out during this time in their classroom.
But they're not on grade level.
All right, so, so this might be a different conversation possibly with Jen. So here's my understanding is that kids that are not on grade level should be pulled out at a different time and not during core instruction because you're providing off grade level instruction, is that correct? Okay, so they have to by law get core level instruction in their grade level, and then you're giving equal time and intensity outside of class at a different time for off grade level instruction. Am I correct? So that would be a district school conversation. So RTI says that students must have additional time intensity on off grade level material.
Depends on what their IEP says.
Right.
Some is resource, some is replacement.
But the state federal law says they have to have core instruction? Equal access to core instruction? Okay, so that's a different conversation. I'll let you guys figure that out. My understanding is that all students must have equal access to core instruction. And so at some point that student must be in a grade level content class, here in grade level content material. And so I'll let you all, I won't get into that conversation, but I would not be pulling them. This is the most critical part of their day. I would not be pulling them during quick practice or daily routines. That's my personal opinion, but yeah.
Just to piggyback off of that, whether they're on grade level or not, I think just exposing them to this and having them participate in it and see it done and the repetition is going to be helpful for them. They might not grasp the whole understanding of it,
Absolutely.
but I think that as the repetition goes on, they're going to get little pieces that eventually you could take them out of the classroom to put those pieces
I think that
together.
they should be in the core classroom to hear this grade level material. If I were to pull them out, I would be using off grade level quick practices possibly with them, like other skills they may need. But I definitely think they should be in the classroom to hear the grade level ones as well, especially daily routines for sure. But I'll let you all work with your friends about that. I'm not sure what your policies are. So that'd be my suggestion. So if you do them, you can use off grade level ones. If they're not getting even their grade level ones, maybe do a mix of both. You'll see the examples of them, and especially in the K and 1, it's all number sense, so you can't go wrong. It's all building 10s and 1s.
I have one answer, but I'm looking, maybe you have a better answer.
Okay.
What about students, because we house the autistic students, and some are mainstream, some are not.
Sure.
But how do you deal with a student leader with, as a student leader that's nonverbal?
I love this question.
And I understand, you can put them on the board and they can point to them, but do you have a better way?
Yeah, no, I just think they need to have a role. So I have two. That's a really great question. Okay, so I know that I need to hurry, Jen. We will move forward, I promise. A couple of things. One is, so I had Avery, first grader, nonverbal with Down syndrome, had only a few, maybe 3 honestly words, and had no sign language, right? And so every time he'd see me in the hall, I had a stuffed puzzle penguin I just walked around the hallways with. And every time he saw me, he'd point to me and he'd be me. And yes, Avery, you! Because he knew when I visited his classroom, he got to be the student leader. Because Avery had no other role his entire day, right? But when I came, he got to be the pointer, he got to hold the chart, he got to flip, he got to move the sticky notes. He could do that perfectly, right? He didn't have the verbiage, but he at least had that, right? Another really, really quick one is, so there's Leon, and Leon speaks Vietnamese, and he comes to us in November. He speaks absolutely no English. He comes straight from Vietnam. We have a full immersion program, and so but he's at our acclimating. right? Like most kids start acclimating and they play with other kids on the playground. We have other kids speak Vietnamese. He doesn't. He sits on the playground up against the brick wall. He doesn't smile. He doesn't play. And this is months. Like he's working with the EL teacher. He's working with the literacy coach, math coach, everyone, right? And so everyone's concerned about him. I come and visit his classroom in like February. This is totally true story. And he's been watching these daily routines every single day for 3 months, and he has not spoken one word of English. Not one. And he has not smiled one time. We've done home visits, and we are just very, very worried about this child. And so I come in, and his teacher does, in kindergarten, his teacher does the jar where she pulls out a stick, and whoever's name she pulls out, that's the student leader for the day. So I'm in coaching her that day, and she pulls out a stick, and who does she pull? Leon. Right? And so for kindergarten, that is a major issue. And so all the kindergartners are at the meeting center, and there's an audible gasp, like, oh, but he doesn't speak English, right? And so they have this like major like, what's going to happen? And I need it. And so the teacher darts back at me like, what do I do? And I'm like, you have to try. So she sends up a student leader I have Dominic, who's a friend who speaks Vietnamese, up with him, right? And I tell Dominic, I say, I want you to tell Leon what to say in English only. We have to just give him a try. Right? So this could be totally go a different way, but Dominic comes up and Leon's here, and I'm just standing and coaching up on the side, and Leon takes the stick, and mind you, he's watched every single day, and Dominic says to Leon, he says, Leon, say, boys and girls, count with me, and Leon points to the 120 poster, and at the top of his lungs, like the loudest he can speak, and a smile goes from ear to ear, and he goes, class, count with me! And the class goes crazy. And they're like, he can talk! Like he's been lying the whole time! And like, they're like high-fiving, and of course like there's tears streaming down my face and his teacher's face, and he really can't speak the language yet, but it was the first time he had a role to play in that classroom, and that's all he needed. And from then on, it was like a game changer for him. And so that, Dominic says, class, did we make a new 10? And Dominic points to the poster and says, class, did we make new 10? Right? And it was the same thing all over again. So I just say everyone should be a student leader and anyone can be. Okay? So quick practices, you got to do them every single day. Okay? Group of first grade teachers, pilot teachers, working with them. I say, are you doing quick practices? They say, no. I say, you have to be doing them. I'm going to come back in a month, do them every single day without fail. Even if you skip an activity, you've got to do them. They say they will. I don't believe them. I leave. I come back in a month, and I'm working with their 5th grade teachers, and I forget about it. I'm in the teacher's lounge eating lunch, and 2 teachers come walking in, 2 first grade teachers, and one teacher has tears in her eyes. And I'm like, I promise, like, whatever it is, I promise I can fix it. Like, I swear, whatever it is, I can help. And she's like, no, we just had to come visit you after you told us about the quick practices. And I'm like, did they go that bad? Like, you must be doing them wrong. And so she said, no. She's like, we've been doing it every single day. And then tears start flowing down her eyes. And I'm like, what is wrong? And she's like, we've done it every single day since you left. And she said, we just feel so bad. And I'm like, why? She's like, because I have never in 25 years of teaching had my kids more mentally fluent in first grade than they are in the last 30 days of school. And I'm like, why are you crying? And she's like, because we feel so bad. We should have been doing it since the first day of school. And I'm like, I know, 2nd grade's going to hate you. So if you haven't been doing them, don't feel bad. You start doing them now. Go back in your teacher's guide, start looking at some of the ones you've missed, because I guarantee you there's ones that you think your kids can do that they're not fluent in, and they need those skills. This is just a sample quick practice cycle. 1 to 2 days, the teacher models. Okay, so if you are feeling comfortable enough just to hand it over to students the first day, 1 to 2 days, the teacher models. Day 2 to 4, the teacher would co-teach or model coaching. And then by the 4th day, the student should be acting independently. Okay, so it's really more about us just letting go. Because the students completely can totally do it, even in kindergarten. I have 6th grade teachers that will tell me, they're just not ready. You don't know this class, right? And they completely can do it if we support them well enough.